Ever feel like suddenly everyone you meet is throwing around phrases like proof of stake and smart contracts?
Right.
Like they're speaking a whole other language.
Yeah.
Well, today we're diving headfirst into the world of blockchain,
Hmm.
specifically blockchain architecture.
Okay.
And trust me, it's a career path that's, well, as complex and fascinating as blockchain itself.
Yeah.
We're going to break down exactly what a blockchain architect does all day.
Yeah.
And more importantly, why this role is, well, kind of shaping the future and might just be the perfect fit for you. Now we're tapping into RoleCatcher's career insights for this one, by the way. And it's perfect for all you learners out there, the folks who are intrigued by this whole blockchain thing.
Yeah.
But maybe need a little more than a quick Google search to really get it. Get it right.
Right. You want the why behind the what.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics. Like, what does a blockchain architect actually do?
Well, you can think of it like traditional architecture, but, instead of buildings. They're designing these secure, tamper-proof systems.
Oh, okay. So instead of blueprints and concrete, we're talking algorithms and cryptography.
Yeah, exactly. And these architects are in high demand right now. We're not just talking about the finance world anymore.
No kidding. I mean, I've heard whispers about blockchain creeping into everything from supply chain management to healthcare.
It's true. What's so captivating about blockchain is that it's completely changing how we approach trust. Like in the digital age, right?
Okay, so how so?
Well, forget relying on these third parties. Blockchain lets us create systems where agreements are transparent.
Okay.
And tamper-proof.
Tamper-proof. Okay.
It's like, imagine a world where you could trace your online vote directly to your device.
Oh, wow.
Cutting out any chance of manipulation. That's the power of a well-designed blockchain system.
That's incredible. That's a really powerful example. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Yeah.
We're talking about the architects behind these systems.
Right.
So they're like the masterminds, right? The ones creating these digital fortresses of trust.
Exactly. They're responsible for designing the entire structure of a blockchain system. Instead of, concrete and steel, you're working with cryptography.
Right.
Consensus mechanisms, all those fascinating technologies that make blockchain secure and reliable.
Okay, now you're using some of those buzzwords I was talking about. Consensus mechanisms, for example. What exactly are those?
That's a great question, and a very fundamental one in blockchain architecture. So imagine a distributed network with thousands of computers, all needing to agree on, the validity of transactions.
Okay.
That's what consensus mechanisms do.
Okay.
They provide the rules and processes for how these computers come to a unified agreement.
Oh, okay.
Ensuring that everyone's on the same page.
Ah, so it's like a digital democracy of sorts, making sure that everyone plays fair.
A very clever analogy.
Yeah.
And a blockchain architect needs to be well-versed in, all these different types of consensus mechanisms, like proof of work.
Right.
Or proof of stake, each with their own, trade-offs.
In terms of
security, speed, energy consumption. Choosing the right one for a specific project, that's a critical decision.
This is already reminding me that it's not just about, like, hardcore coding skills, is it?
Right.
I mean, RoleCatcher highlights this whole blend of skills that are needed, from the technical stuff to basically being a master communicator.
Absolutely. You see, a blockchain architect, they're not just building in a vacuum.
Right.
They're solving real-world problems.
Yeah.
For businesses, organizations, even governments.
Yeah.
That means being able to translate this complex tech speak into solutions that everyone can understand.
Okay.
You've got to collaborate with these diverse teams and navigate, this ever-evolving regulatory landscape.
So it sounds like you need the technical skills to actually build the fortress.
Right.
But then you also need the diplomacy skills to turn around and explain how it works to everyone else, from the tech wizards to, like my grandma who can barely send an email.
And that's why we see such a fascinating range of backgrounds.
Really?
Represented in this field. RoleCatcher's analysis shows that, while yes, a computer science degree is common, we're seeing architects emerge from, get this, fields like economics.
Oh, wow.
Mathematics, even law.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about being a coding whiz from day one?
Not at all. In fact, some of the most innovative blockchain architects we're seeing are those who can bridge that gap between technology and other disciplines.
Right.
They bring these fresh perspectives. They can see the potential of blockchain to revolutionize industries beyond just finance and tech.
Okay, so we've established that blockchain architects are these multi-talented individuals shaping the future of how we think about trust and transparency online.
Right.
But let's be honest, it's got to be pretty competitive field, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What does it actually take to climb the career ladder,
Mm.
to stand out from the crowd?
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting. RoleCatcher outlines a pretty clear progression
Hmm.
from junior architects all the way up to, that coveted role of principal architect.
Okay.
And it's not just about, fancy titles. The responsibilities, the challenges, even the impact you have,
Yeah.
they change dramatically at each stage.
So let's break it down. Where does someone typically start on this path, and what are some of those early hurdles they might face? So we left off talking about the different stages in a blockchain architect's career. Where does someone typically start on this path, and what are some of the early hurdles they might face?
Well, you'll often find yourself starting as a junior blockchain architect.
Okay.
Think of it as like the apprenticeship phase.
Right.
You're working on specific parts of larger projects,
Yeah.
maybe under the guidance of, a more experienced architect.
Right.
It's all about soaking up knowledge like a sponge at that point.
Okay, so you're not designing the next Ethereum from scratch right out of the gate.
Exactly. Early on, it's more about like mastering those fundamentals. You might be tasked with researching different blockchain platforms,
Okay.
maybe writing smart contracts for, very specific functionalities,
Okay.
or even just rigorously testing the security of existing systems.
Gotcha. So a healthy mix of hands-on technical work,
Uh-huh.
but then also being mentored by, those who've been there, done that.
Right.
What would you say is like the biggest challenge at this early stage?
I think it's often learning to balance, that theoretical with the practical.
Yeah.
You might have a firm grasp of how, say, cryptography works in theory,
Yeah.
but then you encounter the real-world limitations of, actually implementing it
Yeah.
within a specific project's, constraints.
Right. So you've got this idea of how it should work,
Right.
and then reality hits.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've paid your dues, you've honed your skills, you're ready to level up. What's next on this blockchain architect journey?
So this is where you transition from being the apprentice to more of a lead architect.
Okay.
You're given more autonomy
Yeah.
to design and implement solutions independently,
Right.
often overseeing, a whole team of developers.
Okay.
And this is where those, communication and leadership skills, those soft skills,
Right.
they become absolutely crucial.
Because now you're not just responsible for your own code, you're guiding the direction of a whole project.
Precisely. And this is also often where blockchain architects start, specializing.
Okay.
Maybe you become that go-to expert for, say, supply chain solutions,
Right.
or you're passionate about building decentralized finance applications.
And I imagine this is where things get really interesting in terms of like the technical challenges as well.
Oh, absolutely. You might be, for example, responsible for choosing the right consensus mechanism
Mhm.
for a project. Do you go with proof of work, which is, incredibly secure, but very energy intensive? Or do you opt for, say, a more sustainable proof of stake model?
Yeah.
But then you got to consider the potential trade-offs there
Right.
in terms of security or scalability.
Mhm.
These are high stakes decisions that can make or break a project.
So you're not just building anymore.
Right.
You're making these strategic decisions
Yeah.
with real world consequences.
Exactly.
It sounds like the stakes just get progressively higher
They do.
as you climb that ladder. What does like mastery even look like in this field? We were talking about the increasing challenges and responsibilities as a blockchain architect rises through the ranks. So what does mastery even look like in this field? What does it take to reach that pinnacle position of principal architect?
You're talking about like the strategic brain trust of blockchain
Okay.
within an organization. A principal architect, they're not just, overseeing projects.
Right.
They're setting the entire blockchain strategy
Wow.
for a company, maybe even influencing, industry standards. Their expertise goes beyond the technical.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking business acumen, regulatory foresight,
Right.
deep understanding of the broader market landscape.
So they're not just building the ship, they're charting the course for like the entire fleet.
Exactly.
I imagine that level of expertise is, well, it's got to be highly sought after.
Oh, yeah.
How does a blockchain architect break through the noise and signal that they're ready for those leadership roles?
Well, that's where, personal branding
Oh.
and a real commitment to continuous learning, they become paramount.
Okay.
Remember those specialized certifications?
Yeah, yeah,
We talked about those a little earlier.
yeah.
Pursuing those, especially ones tied to like those emerging technologies
Yeah.
or in-demand platforms,
Right.
that demonstrates a real dedication to staying ahead of the curve.
So it's like saying, hey, I'm not just keeping up with the blockchain evolution, I'm
Right.
trying to anticipate where it's going next.
Exactly. And beyond certifications,
Yeah.
actively engaging with, that broader blockchain community,
Right.
contributing to open source projects, speaking at industry events,
Mm.
even just, regularly sharing your insights online.
Yeah.
These all build your reputation as a thought leader.
So it's about building that portfolio of expertise, not just projects.
Exactly.
So instead of waiting for opportunity to knock, you're building the door yourself
Right.
and inviting it in.
Exactly.
I like that. That's a great way to look at it.
And frankly, it's a lot more effective than just, sending out those generic resumes into the void.
Right. Right.
Companies, they're not looking for just any architect. They're looking for architects who are passionate
Right.
about solving their specific challenges.
Right. So you gotta tailor your approach
Yeah,
to show them how your unique skills line up with their needs.
exactly.
It sounds like finding your niche
Mm.
within the blockchain world is just as important as mastering the tech itself.
It really is.
Yeah.
And this is actually where platforms like RoleCatcher can be, well, they can be incredibly valuable.
How so?
Their AI-powered tools can really help you to identify those niche opportunities that really align with your skills and interests.
This whole deep dive has been a revelation. We've gone from demystifying what blockchain even is
Right.
to mapping out a whole career path that's, well, it's as challenging as it is rewarding.
It is.
And I have a feeling our listeners are walking away with a lot to think about.
I hope so. It's a fascinating field to be a part of. And frankly, we need more talented minds tackling these complex challenges that blockchain throws at us.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought. If you could use blockchain to solve just one problem in the world, what would it be? What system of trust would you build? Keep that question in mind as you continue your own exploration of, well, the blockchain frontier. Until next time on The Deep Dive.